Hi, this is Bob. The date is 8/15/2020, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. I'm working on the 1929 Model A rear backing plate. This is the left rear backing plate. I say left, but I found out after working on it, someone had, at some time in the life of the car, put on a right backing plate. I say a right backing plate because I found that the little emergency brake lever here was on upside down, and it had a right backing plate spring, return spring for the emergency brake in there. This is the spring that was in there. This is for the right side of the car, and it was in like this, and it was pulling the emergency brake lever here in the wrong direction. I had a lot of noise in this left rear backing plate. I thought the problem had to do with the brake drum rubbing on the brake edge of the brake shoes or on the edge of the backing plate here. What I'm now thinking is that with that spring in backwards, and it was pushing the emergency brake linings out. So I don't know exactly what caused the noise, but I decided to purchase a new complete backing plate assembly, and I contacted all the suppliers that I could think of, and could not find a one that had a new backing plate assembly in stock. All they could say was it's going to be a while because there aren't any available. So I decided that the thing to do would be to straighten this out as best I could. And you can see along the edges here, this bottom edge was all caved in because I believe that somebody lost the rear wheel at one time, and then this hit the ground and it was all caved in, and I took it and I banged it and banged it and banged it with a ball peen hammer, and I think it's going to be okay. So that was with everything taken off. Then I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum Professional Black Gloss paint. I really like that paint. It dries quickly and it's very good paint. So anyways, I wanted to show you some things on here that I ran into, which I find to be quite interesting. One thing I noticed was that there is this offset to the emergency brake lining. This mounting here is offset. Well, I decided from the location of this piece here that it should be placed with the offset toward the outside. This piece here is offset a little bit, about the width of itself here from the center. So I'm going to try that first, and it may not work. I may have to take this off and reverse this emergency brake band. I'm not sure. But that's something that I had been working on there. I got the location of the springs by getting onto YouTube, and there's a very nice video this gentleman makes on working on the rear backing plate, and he does a real good job. There's only a couple videos on the rear backing plate in there, and so it's pretty easy to find. Anyhow, I had a lot of trouble with the spring. I purchased new springs. Here's one that I bent up trying to install it, and rather than trying to straighten it out, I had another new one, so I put the new one in there. But this is the correct one here for this. It goes in like that. It goes in like that and hooks right here. You see the hook right there. Hooks over the emergency brake arm, and then the end of it is down under here, right in there, and it bears on this service brake. I don't know what you call it, service brake boss that sticks out here. And you can see if I turn it around, I want you to see that plainly because I had a lot of trouble with that spring, and I thought that that may be something that would help the guys, is to see how this is in there. Here is the other end of it bearing on the service brake mount, or boss I would call it. Anyhow, and here's the top part again. You notice that that points to the rear of the car this way. Okay, another thing I would like you to notice, this end piece here I have curved a little bit. So instead of just hitting it straight like that, it wraps around the service brake mount. And I also had to bend that, what did I do with that spring? I also had to bend that end piece down. I got that from this old one here. The new, you see this end of it right here. I'm having a trouble here because this light is banging into my head. I had to bend this end piece down right here. It was aimed like that on the new spring. So I grabbed it right here with a vice grip pliers, took another pair of pliers, and I straightened it out more like this one is, like that. And in doing that, I found that it fit so much better on here. Like a lot of things you get with the Model A Ford when you buy a replacement part, you don't get a part that'll fit right on there. You get a part that you can work on, and you can file, and you can fit, and you can bend and make it work. Now these, I ordered 2 of these. These are service brake arms. I ordered 2 of them. The one is right here. I've got it installed. I installed it with a 1/4 inch number 5 bolt. I used a number 5 because I wanted a good strong bolt. And I used a self-locking insert nut here instead of peening in the pin, because if I want to take this off and work on it for some reason, I can just take the bolt out and I can get that off. If I peen that pin in there, I'm going to have a hard time. This is a car that I drive quite a bit, and I put in safety features, and I have done changes which I feel are better for the car. I noticed when I got the new emergency brake operating lever unit that goes down inside, it had a hole here for a grease fitting. So I put a grease fitting in there, and that's a change that they made on that. They use 5/16 inch pins in these, and I've got new pins in them here. Let's see. Now, one of the things I found out that I'd like to mention is that the left arm and the right arm, I ordered them both, and they are marked left and right, but you know what? They're the identical part. If you notice, there's a flat side on it here, and on this end it's rounded here. Well, on this one, on the left side, it goes with the rounded part down. That's the only way it'll fit. And on the other side, the right side, it goes with the rounded part up. Otherwise, it's the same part, identical. And it is marked on the package here. One is marked right, and one is marked left. And here is the left. So, it wouldn't matter which one you got, you could fit it on the other side. And it was really strange to find that this right hand spring was on here and pushing this emergency brake lever in the wrong direction. So that's very interesting. I think somebody at one time replaced this backing plate, and it was a right backing plate, and somebody said, well, they'll fit on either side. Yeah, they will, but you got to have the right spring on there. And these parts then, this arm here has to be turned over, and this one too, and put on upside down. And you notice this one here has got the flat side right there. It's put in with the rounded side down, and so is this one. So I wanted to show you guys that, and I wanted to show you how the spring fit in there. you can see it fits down onto the service shaft assembly nicely. I've seen some that are all wadded up and all that down in there, but it fit on there nicely when I straightened out this little piece on the bottom here. This little thing right there on my finger. It was way down like that, and I straightened it up like this on the new spring, and it started working properly. Now putting it on was a real bear, and what I did, I had this out, this bolt out, and I put it on there, and I shoved the spring down on there. I hooked it onto the arm, and I pushed the arm, and it was hard. I pushed the arm in until the keyway started to slide on, and then I didn't have the grease fitting on there. I took a socket. I think this is a 5/16 or a socket. I put it over there like that, and I tapped it gently with a small ball-peen hammer until I got it on there. Now, one thing I found was that this was spread out enough that it would just slip around this way and that way, and I couldn't get it to stay where I needed it. So I put it in a vise, and I squeezed it together right here in a vise, just a tiny bit, so that it fit snugly on that shaft, and I was able then to tap it on and it would stay in place. So that's the deal. And I wanted to really show that spring on there so that you guys could see how to put it on. And they're hard to get on. They say you can put one on in the car, but you have to take this arm off to get it on, because I could not get it over this part here. With the bolt out, I could not get it in there. So I highly recommend you take that little arm right off if you have to replace that spring. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you that. Just keep your Model A rolling, guys.